Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So, what's going on in the Ditto here? Or, like, you just want me to watch and see what I see, or you have thoughts on it already?
Yeah, I feel like whenever I'm in the Ditto, I'm I'm not very good at dealing with lasers myself, right?
Mm
I like shooting them. I don't like taking them so much.
hmm. Mm hmm.
So it becomes sort of like I feel like my play style becomes really different, and I get impatient a lot of the time. I think I just play
Okay.
play play
So
worse when I'm in the
you're
Ditto.
the one with, like, the
Yeah,
black jacket? Black
yeah,
and
yeah,
gold?
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm hmm. Yeah, okay, so something
Mm-hmm.
small really quick, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely, like, so you were doing fine up till this point, but,
Yeah.
like, pretty much any time you're in a situation like this, there
Mm-hmm.
was, like, jumping in here is almost never gonna really help you out.
Yeah.
It's like you have stage positioning, and what you don't have is laser control. So what you
Yeah.
might want to do here is something like, let's say, you're scared of the laser for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
You could maybe do, like, waveland off, like, jump up and waveland off this platform and laser, so you dodge his laser and then you
Mm-hmm.
get your laser out.
Okay, I
And
see.
so there's a lot of stuff like that in this matchup where it's like you do,
Mm-hmm.
like, either like a full hop double jump or like a
Yeah.
waveland off the platform. You can
Mm-hmm.
even, like, waveland down onto the platform and then
Yeah.
dodge his laser and then run off and reverse laser or drop laser here.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, if you don't have the laser out and he's this far towards getting his own laser out, you're not going to be like, Falco's just too slow to really do
Yeah.
anything from there.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of happens again here where, like, you have a chance to set up a laser
Mm-hmm.
and you haven't set it up yet. Like right here, there's
Yeah.
no reason not to just be like, lasers, like, get the laser out as fast as possible, because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a lot of times in this matchup it's easy to, like, not just think, okay, laser at the first possible second. The
Mm-hmm.
only time you don't want to laser at the first possible second is when they're
Mm-hmm.
in range to, like, instantly nair you or something.
Okay. Yeah.
But, like, if you are frame positive
Mm-hmm.
or you are far enough away that they can't hit you, your
Mm-hmm.
first response should always be to laser,
Laser.
like, as
Yeah.
fast as possible, because it's like the person with the first laser a lot of times wins. And it's like you'll hear, like, oh, you want to be, like, the second person to shoot a laser and stuff like that, but, like,
Mm-hmm.
that's, like, only if both lasers get out. And a lot of times if you're the first one to shoot, your laser will literally just, like, cancel their laser. So
Mm-hmm.
shooting the first laser is usually, and yeah, so you
Best.
can end up in situations like this where, like, okay, so that was good, you did, like, a good approach into that. And, okay, there's this spot right here
Mm-hmm.
where you let him get this and then you shield from this far away. There's no reason to ever
Shield.
shield a laser from this distance, because
Okay.
it puts you in this horrible position where
Mm-hmm.
they get an approaching laser, because you're not going to be able to, like, do anything. You can't up tilt here, you can't,
Mm-hmm.
like, dash in. And so shielding the lasers is just not a good idea. Like, if you had done a take laser here,
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't have had, like, an approach option. They would have had to, like, laser again or something. And you can always use this corner of the platform to, like, avoid the lasers.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you end up in kind of, like, this awkward spot where you shielded that laser,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're, like, instantly approaching out of it or whatever.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So yeah, like, shielding those it just gets dangerous really quickly. So you just sort
Totally.
of, like, yeah, like, you're holding shield in a lot of spots where, like, you're too far away for it to matter. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So it's kind of like you said. Once you get laser control, you kind of know what to do.
Yeah.
But if your opponent has it, it's kind of bad news.
Yeah. I'm screwed. Exactly. It's like I just don't. It's like everything just kind of goes out the window for me.
And I think you could also, like, after you do a laser, I
Mm-hmm.
haven't really noticed you do, like, dash dances, but doing,
Yeah.
like, laser dash in and then do, like, a dash dance into something, like,
Mm-hmm.
one that's good is, like, you do laser dash in dash back, and then you do dash in laser, like, out of the same dash
Oh.
dance.
Okay.
So
Okay.
like that kind of gives you like the setup of like, oh, it looks like you're kind of baiting them, but then suddenly you're also on top of them with like the laser or the aerial anyway. Whereas like doing like the laser instant approach laser, this is really good, but this is kind of like layer 1 or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. It's predictable. Like, yeah, that's what I was kind of saying earlier. Like, I feel like a lot of the times my approaches just become super predictable. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
a ton of ideas of how to like
Yeah, like
vary
it's just
it.
kind of like laser and go in or whatever.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
a lot of times like the idea of the laser is not to combo. Like you're not going to be like the reason why you are getting these laser into aerial openings is
Hmm.
not because it combos.
Yeah.
It's mostly because it pins them down in a specific position,
Hmm.
and then it also like makes sure they didn't throw out a move extra early. Like if they were doing something crazy, like they charged a smash attack or something, you'll
Hmm.
cancel that, and then so you know that like they have a certain number of frames to do moves, and you know where they're locked down to, and
Yeah.
so that is more like there for you to like get pressure out of it. It's
Hmm.
not really like you're not really going to get like a direct hit out of the lasers. The
Yeah.
idea with the lasers is to set up a pressure which will give you a hit.
Okay. For sure. That does make sense. Yeah. I don't. I feel like I still kind of have that newer-ish player mentality, I guess. I don't know if it's a newer player mentality or
Mm-hmm.
not really, but of just like I'm always kind of looking for the big, because that's what I like about Falco is just like punishing in the combo game and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is so I feel like I'm always just kind of looking for the big hit, but that's a good way of looking at it. It's just not just kind of
Well,
setting up your
going
pressure.
for the big hit is important. You know, a
Yeah,
lot like people who don't have that mentality don't usually get very far. Like you want to be hungry for like I want my big opening that'll let me
yeah,
just like destroy this guy. So you want to keep
exactly.
that feeling, but
Hmm.
you need to be like you need to get craftier about how to do it. You know, it's kind of
Yeah,
like you're like
exactly.
hunting like a dangerous animal.
Hmm.
It's like you want you want the final catch where you've trapped this thing, but you
Hmm.
also don't want to just like jump in and tackle it and then
Yeah,
you get killed. You know.
exactly. Yeah, totally, totally. I get that.
And so the thing is like as you get to like a higher level, what kind of
Hmm.
happens is like you'll sort of do these like laser instant approaches on people, and
Hmm.
you're kind of testing them to see like how well they defend against it and stuff like
Okay.
that. And this
Yeah.
person you're playing is basically not defending against it. So
Yeah,
in
totally.
terms of like pure victory, this
Hmm.
is the correct way to do it, where you're just kind of like, oh, I'm abusing this fact that this person is not covering this thing.
Yeah.
But what you can also do is you can play a more solid style. Like
Hmm.
so what you like there's multiple ways to go about it, but one way is like way easier than the others. And
Yeah.
so one way you can go about it is by exploiting everyone's weaknesses, and then
Hmm.
like each step up you get for a better player, or honestly every different player, you
Yeah.
exploit their weaknesses differently. The
Hmm.
problem with that is that it gets really complicated really fast, and it
Totally.
becomes really difficult in tournament to like change your style to perfectly counter everyone's weaknesses, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
so a much simpler approach is to kind of like you give up some of these openings, but you
Hmm.
have like a more solid style that has like the mix-ups kind of built into it, and you
Hmm.
won't necessarily get as many like laser approaching aerials, but you
Yeah.
can do the same style and beat everyone below a certain threshold.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. Like a threshold of skill.
Yeah, so it's like if you're doing like the laser approach, but then sometimes you do laser retreating, not laser retreating, laser fade back aerial, and then
Hmm.
sometimes you do laser dash dance, and sometimes you do laser dash dance laser, and sometimes you do
Hmm.
laser dash dance aerial, and you kind of
Yeah.
mix these up better and better. Then
Hmm.
there's gonna be a point where you can just not look at the screen against people who are way better than this.
Yeah. 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 Totally.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like the thing that's come up over and over is that you instantly approach out of the laser, and I
All
think
the
that's
time.
that's
Yeah.
definitely like a problem. So
Yeah.
that's the easiest thing to adjust is just
Hmm.
laser and then dash dance. Do one dash dance after the laser before you approach,
Yeah.
as just
For sure.
like
a
one
mix up.
small thing to kind of start like breaking up your habits. And
Yeah.
also, you can. It's okay to just disengage in this matchup.
Hmm.
It like there's no Ditto matchup in this entire game that's not like lame.
Yeah.
And it's like the Falco Ditto feels cooler than a lot of the other ones because it's complex and a lot of them aren't complex, and it
Yeah.
has really cool combos and stuff. But at the
Hmm.
same time, like if you are committed to not leaving, the ring, kind of like, it's funny, there's like a literal ring right here, but it's like
Uh-huh.
if you get close to somebody and then
Hmm.
they know for a fact you're never stepping outside of that little area to fight in, you become
It's
a lot more
easier.
predictable.
Yeah, that makes
So it's
sense.
like, I think, be more comfortable wave landing off the platforms, going
Hmm.
to the platform, doing full hops to avoid lasers and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
this one was good. But okay, let's see. Because like a big part of improvement is like
Hmm.
getting experience in
Hmm.
areas that will help you improve.
Yeah.
And so like the more experience you get in laser instant approach,
Hmm.
it's fine, but that's less experience you get doing other approaches.
Other stuff. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Okay, yeah, so doing these like full hops and stuff is like
Hmm.
not bad at all. So you're just like
Yeah.
avoiding these lasers, but what you can
Hmm.
a lot of times do is
Just
jump
the
over
back way.
this and
Okay.
then shoot your own laser as you land here.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is
Yeah.
like what Mango does. He'll jump over this laser and then he comes down with his own laser right here and then he'll pressure you out of it.
Okay. That's actually a good. Yeah, I've never done that. I don't
Hmm.
think
Well, because
that's a good
that'll
idea.
also encourage you to do that jump up more,
Yeah.
because and so this is sort of like, this is how you deal with your opponent's lasers. Is
Hmm.
step one, don't get hit by their laser.
Yeah.
Step two, shoot your own laser
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
their second laser's out. And so
Uh-huh.
that's why using the platform is really good to avoid the laser. Like either because you can do like a standing on the platform, it's a bit more
Hmm.
passive, like wave landing down, and a lot of times like they'll shoot a laser, you jump over, you go to the platform, and they'll get like one more laser. They'll get like an approaching laser to here. But it's
Hmm.
irrelevant because you're on the platform and you can
Yeah.
kind of threaten, like run off dare, and then you just jump off or drop and laser here. Another thing you can do that Mango does a lot is he'll do like short hop off the platform. Like let's say they're in center. He'll short hop off the platform and kind of fade back. So he'll threaten his like down air here, and
Hmm.
then he'll just laser as he lands.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
those sort of mix-ups of like avoid laser, come back with your own laser are really
Hmm.
really good. So like jumping away and then landing with your own laser and
Yeah.
using the platform are like really effective.
For sure. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. Actually, let me open up the Google Docs.
And also learning to dash out of your opponent's lasers is really good.
Yeah, I was
Or
just about to
power
ask.
shielded lasers.
Yeah, I was just about to ask. What do you like?
Well, because that's your
Shit
tip.
laser.
That should be your typical response to like
Hmm.
being lasered in a position where it's the thing is it because Falco's dash isn't like insane. It's
Hmm.
not like every position, because there are a lot of positions where like if Fox gets lasered at, he's fine just dashing out of it, where Falco
Hmm.
isn't fine dashing
Yeah.
out of it. But like I would say at the range where they want to do something to you, but like they would need to commit. So basically, you're like kind of close after the laser, but like not close enough that you feel like you have to instantly shield. Sometimes the dash back can be really useful there, but I would say the most useful point is after power shields. Like if they power shield your laser, that's when you
Uh-huh.
want to dash back out of it against pretty much
Okay.
like every character.
For sure.
And here's an instance of you shielding the laser, and there's no reason. Either take the laser,
Hmm.
because the important thing about take laser is you can do take laser turnaround up tilt, or take laser into a dash down air or something like that. Because
Yeah.
the thing with shielding is like, yeah, I can shield it and do like a down air out of shield.
Hmm.
And honestly, that's not that bad. Is like because a lot of times the down air will kind of stuff different approaches. But the problem is mostly that you give up the ability to like have dash momentum. So if someone lasers and you shields and they immediately jump in on you, then yeah, the shield worked out fine because you didn't need your mobility because they came to you. But if you shield it and then they just kind of sit right outside your range and laser again, you can end up in a really, really bad spot where you feel pressure to roll, and then they like wave dash back and they shine your roll, and there goes your stock, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, that was what I was talking about right there, where it was like kind of got stuck from the laser. Okay. It's fine to shield that because that's like so close, right?
Yeah,
there was no other option but to shield after
and
that.
I was trying to shine out a shield too, but I side beat on accident. So that...
Okay, yeah, you should be dead out of that. Oh, come on, suicide down there.
Yeah, for sure. My edge guarding is you're gonna see it's pretty rough.
Okay, that was good. All right.
I also want to get to the Fox matchup later on in the tourney. I think it's right after this match. So yeah, because I played against a much better player than myself, and that might be useful to.
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll definitely go to that after this.
Yeah, I think I played a little better in this FD one, but I can't remember.
Yeah, so just doing more mix-ups after the laser rather than instantly approaching is like the most obvious thing you can do to experience like a large amount of improvement.
Yeah, for sure.
And then right here at this range, if you think they're gonna do, this is where you can just do that down air in place, like right here at this angle, where like if he does like an aerial here, you can just literally just down air and you'll just stuff it.
Okay, yeah. Defensive down airs, I don't do that very much. Or ever, really.
They're very strong in this matchup, to be honest.
Yeah, okay, for sure. Defensive down airs.
And a lot of times at low percents, you'll kind of get in these like down air wars where like you want to hit the other guy just as he lands, but then like you're at too low of a percent. So like if you're in the air and you get down air, then you can shine him. And a lot of times at low percent, like the scrambles kind of end up like that.
Yeah.
Like it, like kind of in like this spot. Like you should kind of be looking for like the down air or the shine right here. So like when you kind of end up in like this spot, like right here, this is like definitely either a shine or a down air, because like your brain should be in like the zone that like I need to hit them with one of these moves. For not to rush in and do it, but that like that's your
when you're there, like be looking for it. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Okay. Obviously, combo game could use a bit of work, but you're pretty new, so
yeah, absolutely.
I more want to focus on like getting you set up to like play like the basics of the game correctly, and then you can work on your combos.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. This game's going well for you.
Yeah, it went a little better, this one. Messed up the wave dash.
And on this stage, this is like the stage where that like instant, double jump into laser is like the best, because on this stage you don't have the platform, so you kind of have to do that. So if you lose laser control, that's usually what you should be doing here.
For sure.
And like check this out, like look, when he's shielding here, look how comfortable you feel in this position.
Yeah.
Like right here. Because he can't dash in, so you just have like complete control here.
Absolutely.
And so that you don't want to be this guy.
Yeah, you want to be like take lasers better. That's yeah. I've never really thought about that either, but that is a good point, because I'm always just like, okay, I just need to avoid the laser at all costs, but like shielding is low key worse.
And it's like to also remember that like, hey, if my laser doesn't combo directly into my moves. You know, like when you
It's
laser
different.
somebody, you're not getting a guaranteed combo. Then this guy's laser also doesn't. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great mindset, honestly. Laser. Take laser. So this is the Fox player who's like way better than me.
Okay.
Or at least that's what people were telling me, is that he's really good. I don't actually know him. But
You're like, yeah, he's way better than me. So I've been told anyway. Like,
right?
Okay. Let's see.
Because you can even see on the screen, Marito's insane. So I was like, oh, okay. That's good.
He got 5th at Spudfest. I see.
Spudfest last week was pretty.
So this is a matchup that's like really difficult, and so it's kind of like this is the trade-off of like, so everybody who's new to the game, they hate Falco.
Yeah.
Like Falco's the dumbest character ever because he doesn't let you play the game. Because, like you said, getting hit by lasers is like the worst feeling ever when you're new, because you don't have like all of these built-in counterplays. You're not power shielding lasers, ducking under lasers, jumping over lasers. Like as you get better, the laser becomes like a lot more.
Manageable.
It's a lot more something that you can like interact with. Where when you're bad, it's just kind of like this oppressive option that like basically like lag spikes you on net play all the time, and you just can't handle it. And so, like, as a new player, everybody is just they hate Falco, right? So this is your recompense for that sin of being Falco, is that like Fox has a bunch of dumb moves, and he can just throw them out really fast in every direction, and that is the pain of Falco, is that like Falco has answers to everything that Fox does, but they're all pretty difficult. And so it's like, until you're at the point where you can like actually do all the counterplay, Fox basically gets to get away with any random garbage.
Gets away with murder.
And it's like, just know that as frustrating as it is to have Fox randomly nair and drill at you and lose, everyone else you've ever played hates you just as much.
Nice. That's good.
So just keep that in mind when you're pissed off about this character.
Oh yeah, it's the equivalent exchange, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, okay, it's fine. Like, I'll learn it. Because like there's just nothing I can really super tell you to do, except like the main point of this matchup is to learn to protect yourself. So when you're practicing against Foxes who are like, so here's the thing, is that like there are two sides to this matchup, and this is like a matchup that's like really complicated and like kind of goes on forever. But basically, like, there's the aggression side, and the aggression side is that Falco forces mix-ups. You can't really force, like, you can't like do this thing that you can do to maybe some characters where you can kind of lock them down with the lasers, like maybe like Peach, where you can kind of lock her down, and she doesn't really have a lot of options, and you can kind of trap her. You can't really trap Fox in like a situation. You can trap him in like a mix-up situation because he's a really broken character. So like,
yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So if you play aggro against Fox, his goal is to prevent you from ever getting a mix-up, which is really annoying. Like, what he'll do is he'll start full hopping, and he'll start jumping away, and he'll go to the top plat, and he'll dash dance, and it's, like, really, really frustrating. Because, like, you want to hit him, and he's just running away, and he's not allowing you to, like, set up, like, a laser approaching mix-up type thing, you know? Absolutely. And so it's like, okay, so you can't get to him, and it's really annoying. And then he just turns around, he's like, now it's my turn. And he just looks away from the screen, jumps, drills, and just, like, messes with his control stick in every direction. And somehow that will kill you. And so it's like, so that's why it's like, if you just go with aggression, it seems simple because you're trying to lock the Fox down. And if the Fox is down to play, play that game with you, you'll experience a lot of success. Like against a fox who's kind of down to like fight it out, and you're like kind of like they're like, oh, I'll deal with this laser by take laser up tilt or take laser up smash, and you just dodge it and then you down air them and stuff like that. But like that is not the whole matchup, and it's kind of like it's a bit of a cop out in the sense that like you need the aggression, but if you learn the aggression first, you're vulnerable to them just like running away and then like randomly throwing moves out, and like so you don't want that.
I will tell you, in my chat we kind of have the joke of like the full hopping foxes and the double jumping foxes, because those guys destroy me. Those guys
I can't. Yeah, because you do a lot of like approaching laser stuff. You're trying to be aggro.
I start getting pissed internally. I'm like, please let me hit you, or at least come hit me, dude. Come fight me, dude. Like beat me up if that's the case, but don't just full hop away from me.
No, they love doing that. They'll do that forever. That's just how it is. So the thing with the fox full hop is that it's pretty much a stalemate. So they get to be like, you're like, let's fight, and they're like, not today, and so you can't really force it, and that's really annoying. But then it doubly becomes annoying when after running away for 6 minutes, they just get this idea of like, oh, I haven't approached in a while, and they just literally pick a random approach and hit you. And so that's the part you can't prevent them from stalemating. You can't prevent them from running away because they're fast and they have a broken full hop. But you can prevent them from getting those random dumb attacks on you.
Got it. Okay.
And so that is problem number one to solve. Is like how, because Fox gets to stalemate you. So you want to be able to stalemate Fox back just as badly. So you can do this by like shielding on the side plat and kind of baiting for like a shield drop shine. Okay. AKA the West balls. That's really good. Full hopping to top platform is really good. They can't really deal with that. Just a lot of times in general, kind of like being above them, and like you can do full hop instant double jump above Fox full hops. If you read they're gonna do that, you can do it your jump ahead of time, and they'll full hop right up into your down air or whatever. So you do have those options, but like it's like it's difficult, but a lot of times your goal needs to be to just protect yourself from everything. So the way I learned it is you basically just get into the game. And you say, okay, I'm going to literally just shoot lasers as fast as I can. And what are you going to do about it? And if they hit you out of it, then be like, okay, what could I have done to prevent that? Maybe I could dash back down air. Maybe I could hit them with this as they're approaching or whatever. And the thing is if the Fox gets close enough to you while trying to hit you and they can't, and you land a laser, that... is a mix-up situation. They forced the mix-up themselves for you. And so this matchup is a very stalemate-y matchup where the Fox can stalemate if they want, you can stalemate if you want, and it's kind of like working through this to kind of find a situation where like you both either mutually agree to play the mix-up or one person accidentally plays the mix-up. That's the more common one, where Fox doesn't want to play the mix-up, but he'll come down off the platform into a laser, and you're like, I've got you. Play the mix-up with me this time,
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
And so it's a very careful matchup, but the only way to prevent the frustration is like, you've got to be that annoying guy. And then like, once you're both equally as annoying, you can just shake on it and then go back to playing the game.
Okay. Yeah, totally. I get you.
Because like there's kind of a thing, they have that thing which is like, well, the best defense is like a good offense, right? Well, maybe that's true in real life, but in this game it's the opposite.
In this game,
the best offense is a good defense, because though what I always say is like, all right, if you're playing Armada or whatever, or you're playing Hungrybox and you can't approach Hungrybox at all, you are not aggressive because you can't approach. But if Hungrybox camps for 5 minutes and then approaches you and you can't defend against it, technically he is the aggressor, because you've approached 0 times and he approached 1 time. So,
that's facts.
So defense, having an iron defense is what allows you to be the aggressor. That is the reason why Mango can be the aggressor. Is because if he stands at a decent neutral spacing, no one wants to approach that because they think they're going to die. And then he goes, oh, okay, so you don't want to approach me, I guess I'll approach you. And then he has the approach out of that.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's kind of not surprising at all to just kind of get bodied by Fox, like Fox being Fox for a while. You just kind of have to accept it and try your best to protect yourself and not really hit Fox.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But there will come a point where you're like, okay, look, I can protect myself like 80% of the time.
Yeah.
But it'll start feeling like overly precise. Like once you get good at the defense, you're like, look, I can just beat Fox. If I play perfectly, no Fox will beat me because I can perfectly defend myself from all of Fox's options. But the problem is as it drags and the game goes to 3 or 4 minutes, you're gonna make mistakes in your defense. And if you're not going for these aggressive mix-ups, you can't get like your combo starter moves that Falco really needs.
Exactly.
And so once you get to this point where like you can defend a lot of times, but it feels kind of like this like really precise grind, that is the time when I usually switch back to forcing aggro mode in terms of my practice. So for like a couple days or a couple weeks, then I'll be like, all right, my whole goal now is to force mix-ups on Fox. And then eventually I get... So that'll work out really well for a little bit because like you'll be sort of subconsciously defending yourself correctly, and then you get into spots where you can actually do the mix-up. But then what'll happen is you're like, it's too fun to do the mix-ups. So after a little while, you start getting in the spot where you're like, oh yeah, like why did I ever try to defend against Fox? Like basically, it's easier to approach against Fox.
Yes.
But like the defense is necessary. But also, being overly defensive won't win you the game. So it's sort of like a back and forth, but I would say like having the defensive element is crucial, up to at least like 80% success rate. And then you can kind of get the aggro thing in. And eventually you'll find some sort of balance that like pretty much works. And you kind of tune it for the Fox player.
Yeah, for this bit. Because I'll say that I don't think I'm necessarily horrible against Fox as a character in and of himself. Like when I play Foxes that are around my level, I feel like I generally can do pretty well. But then when you're playing players that are like that tier or tier 2, like 2 tiers above you kind of, it's like when you start being like, okay, I'm kind of just a fish out of water right now, like, and
it starts feeling really bad.
And it makes perfect sense what you said. Like I literally just feel like I can't really defend myself, like I don't know what to do, so I definitely gotta look into that. That's good advice, thank you.
And so there's like, I can go a little bit more into like how you can defend yourself from stuff if you want. So
I mean, we can just watch and but
so it's kind of like, let me see, let's find a situation. So let's see, I'll wait until he hits you with something out of like an approach. So there's these, and these are definitely annoying. Like, see this one, and so here's the thing is that, so in this position, he gets this nair on you.
Yeah.
But a good Fox player won't get this nair on you. They'll hit this drill, and you'll die. Okay. So they'll drill grab here and kill you.
Okay, yeah.
And so this is the issue with approaching, is like, you approached before you forced the Fox not to do this. So a lot of times what it'll be is like, you want to do a lot of lasers. Laser dash dance is really good because like it feels like Fox is so fast he can just break past your lasers instantly, and he kind of can, but if you do laser and then you dash in afterward, he has to respect the fact that you might just be a total idiot. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of Falcos out there that don't think twice about jumping in. And
They're
so, like,
cowboys.
if you laser, so if he's kind of dashing and he's like, I'm gonna work my way in. I'm gonna work my way in. Aren't you scared? I'm fast. And you just laser him, and he's like, this laser's nothing. Here I come. And you just dash at him, and he's like, oh no. Like, this guy is actually an idiot, and he's gonna down air me. And so, like, you need to have that confidence of like, maybe I am that idiot, you know, without actually being that idiot. Because the reason why he's doing this Nair is he's like, he's super ready for you to actually jump in here. But if you do like laser and then you dash in and then he goes for this, you just get a dash dance down air here, or you get a wave dash up tilt, or you get a CC shine.
Okay, yeah.
So like, once you get into a position where you're like lasering and threatening more often than lasering and attacking, he can't do this because then, you know, you're the one, you're like, go ahead, believe that I'm stupid. I will kill you. Like, I will kill you for thinking I am stupid by doing for this drill.
Yeah.
And so once you've kind of like established this system of like, if you don't respect me, I slap you, you know, then like the fox is forced to play more honest, and that's when you can actually play the game with your lasers.
Okay.
And a lot of this game is like that in general. It's just, you need to be able to do the things, like, people want to go from like not like just kind of like learning the game, and they kind of just want to be able to like play the game, right? And they want to get to like this point where they're playing the same game as like the good players are. But a lot of times there's like prerequisites, you know, that like you really, there's not even a point to, you know, to playing a game if you don't have some sort of like fundamental to like cover a situation.
Totally get you.
So it's like, you know, I mean, you could literally compare it to anything, and so it doesn't really matter. But it's basically just like, you need to get to a point where, so maybe like a good example is something like tennis, where it's kind of like, if you can't return a serve, then like, what are you doing? Because like, you'll just die on the serve, and you're like, but I've been working on my slices or something. It's like, no one cares because you can't get past the serve.
Get to that point.
And so, and a lot of the stuff like this is like that in this game, where it's like, you need to get past the point where X and Y can just hit you in the face every time. You know, before you can do anything else. And that'll come up against a lot of characters, especially against, like, Marth or whatever.
Yeah,
and
I
like,
actually have a Marth match after this, too.
And, like, I personally deal with that a lot against the high-level Marth, because my Falco is pretty new, so I don't have as much experience, and there's just so many things where they're, like, they just go for this dumb thing. And even like, Zane will go for, like, he goes for, like, this, like, Waveland off platform fair all the time. And it's like, if I was good, that would never hit me. But because I'm not good enough to avoid it every time yet, and it just hits me, then, like, I don't even get to play the game, because every time he needs it, he's like, he'll just pull out, you know, old reliable and, like, Waveland fair me. And it's like, you need to protect against those to get to the mix-ups.
Old reliable. I like
it. That's against me. I literally feel like it's a guaranteed. Like, I feel like taking this stock right now, and I've definitely felt that against other players too. Which is why you're playing against some Marth and they do the same high recovery every time or something. And you're just like, oh, here we go.
Here it goes again.
And so I hate being the victim of that feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the worst thing in this game when you know what they're doing in neutral, but I just don't know how to stop it sometimes. I'm like, I can see what he's doing to me, but I just don't. It's like, I don't have the knowledge to deal with how to stop him yet.
And that happens a lot with Falco, because he's really complicated, but he's kind of slow.
You see,
I would almost
panic spot dodging a lot.
Like, and it's just because you're not sure what to do. I don't even know, like, what advice I would give. I think what you should do, like probably the first thing to do in this matchup, outside of like learning to defend yourself, which I already mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
is like practice hitting hard.
Yeah.
Because like the thing is like Fox can kill off of anything because
Yeah.
everything leads to a knockdown, and he can
Mm-hmm.
just tech chase your knockdown from anywhere on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Exactly.
whereas Falco, he's a lot slower. He needs a lot more like specific openings. So
Yeah.
like at this percent, your options are like late Nair Shine out of the air,
Mm-hmm.
late Dare Shine off the ground,
Mm-hmm.
Laser Shine, or I guess
Yeah.
Grab. Those are
Yeah.
kind of your options here. And so
Mm-hmm.
like if you focus on both getting those options, like it's like it can be tempting to use other options to like try to keep your opponent away.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's kind of like it's way more important to hit with the critical hits than to kind of
Mm-hmm.
keep your opponent away for another second with 10 more
Yeah.
damage or whatever. So I
Mm-hmm.
would say like in this matchup, like practice protecting yourself obviously, but when you
Mm-hmm.
decide to like throw out moves,
Get
go
the
for
hit.
strictly the moves that lead to the combos and just try to
Yeah.
practice like bread and butters. Like
Mm-hmm.
like going for this back air, it's like it
Mm-hmm.
seems like a good idea because you're like, well, it's risk free.
Mm-hmm.
But like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't lead to a combo,
Yeah.
and so you got to watch out for that. Like if you had done like a dash dance back and then dash and dared here, you would have been in like a way
Yeah.
stronger position.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense.
So I just think like even doing stuff like down air shine, forward
Mm-hmm.
smash on like
Yeah.
FD, like I do that combo every day like a ton of times, and it's like it's
Yeah.
good. So like the more you can learn those, it's
Mm-hmm.
once again it's kind of like that like the threat needs to be there, like with the dash in threat of
Yeah.
like if you're not comboing correctly, the Fox doesn't even need to worry about
Getting hit.
like yeah, they don't even need to worry about you shining them because like they're like,
Yeah.
well, he's not gonna get anything off the shine, so like why bother?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the thing is, I think I can combo Fox okay, but when I'm fighting these good players, it's almost like I'm not ready when I do get my opportunity.
Yeah,
Like,
because
does
you're
that make
yeah.
sense?
No,
When
it
I'm
totally
playing
makes
on the,
sense. Yeah.
I'm playing on the back foot, because when I'm playing Foxes that I'm either better than or like we're the same level, like I'm hitting my punishes, like like they're pretty on, but against players like this, yeah, sometimes it can feel like
Mm-hmm. So that's just natural. That's because
yeah.
there's a transition between the two-player game of neutral and
Mhm.
like the kind of two-player but mostly one-player game of combos. Like
Yeah.
they can like DI and stuff, right? But it's your game
Mhm.
once you're comboing.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
so it's like that transition is really difficult. So like the
Yeah.
more energy you're putting into neutral, the
Yeah.
harder it is to quickly combo out of it.
Exactly, yeah.
And so like well, a lot of times I would say that like in tournament the correct idea is to like like only focus on neutral as much as you can afford
Yeah.
without losing sight of your punish game. So
Mhm.
like instead of being really focused on trying to win the neutral, be like okay, maybe I'm not going to win the neutral as often, but when I get a hit, it's really going to count.
Gotta count,
You
yeah.
know,
That's a good
and
mindset.
so like a lot of times that is more useful, and it's kind of like it's just how it is that like it doesn't really matter how much energy or like how much you win neutral by
Mhm.
if you can't punish.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Whereas like there's plenty of idiots on this planet who can punish really well and have zero energy in neutral and do like all right in this game.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's like you get your punish set up and you're like, okay, I'm thinking about the punish. And then you go, okay, I'll put one or two like dash dances worth of energy into neutral and see if
Yeah,
these
yeah,
will
yeah.
return me a punish.
Yeah. Totally. That makes sense. That's a good mindset.
But
And I think honestly, as I learn to defend myself too, kind of like you said, I'll just be naturally become more comfortable in that space as well.
exactly, because you're not
Yeah.
necessarily putting energy into neutral. Like you're not trying to do like a tricky option or dodge them. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I know what to do here. How to
Mhm.
continue quote like continue the neutral just by just by like, oh, they moved here. If I move here, you can't hurt me. You know, and it's like, oh, look at that. He's playing neutral because if they try to hurt you, you are already out of the way, you know, and you have a kill there or whatever, or a hit.
I think my biggest issue right now is like whenever I actually make the mental sort of like decision, I guess, to play defensively, a lot of that just looks like shielding. But Fox will kill you if he grabs you, so it's like it's not that lazy. Like defense isn't that lazy, which is the difficult part, I guess.
Well, okay, so that's why there's like a big difference between defending yourself and being passive.
Yeah,
and it's really, really easy for one to become the other, like accidentally. You know, it's kind of like how like chilling is necessary, but it can become being lazy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's kind of the same thing where it's like you need to be ready to defend yourself, but and like a big difference is just from experience and knowing what to do. Of like, well, this option is just as good as shield, but it has a barb on it. Like I describe it like that a lot. Like you want your defense to be like as barbed as possible, where it's like well, I'm defending myself in like the most dangerous way for my opponent possible, rather than like defending yourself in a way that maximizes safety. Because it's like you're like, oh well, I'm not quite as safe as I might be, but you're in more danger. And a lot of times like that threat, remember the threat will change your opponent's behavior, and they won't even try to hit you even if they could. And that's like what a lot of animals do in like the wild is like their defense isn't based on the fact that like if you attack me I will take 0 damage. It's that if you attack me you might kill me but you'll take fatal wounds. And that's like almost all of nature is like how they defend themselves. And like that's enough, you know. That's enough because nobody wants to risk a fatal wound, you know? And so, like, that's enough that you can protect yourself without having a perfectly safe shield-type defense.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. And I think we got the Marth after this one.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking ahead trying to find it.
Yeah. I think that might be it. But yeah, no, that definitely does make a lot of sense.
Oh, you got an opening so fast. I was like 2 seconds in and you're already comboing.
Oh yeah, it's the approach, man. I've been practicing Marth Punish game a lot actually lately.
Oh, that's sick. I love punishing Marth with Falco. It's just so fun.
Yeah, I used to hate it. Now I like it.
It's so fun.
Yeah, I've been putting in the work, so
that's good.
It's obviously not perfect, but I think it's passable now.
I really like that you didn't jump into the corner there. That's good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, that was good.
I had that problem a lot. I'm sure that's not a surprise to you, as you saw. I like
to approach. There's a lot of people who've been playing for a decade and jump into the corner every time and don't realize it's a problem. So, so yeah, it seems like you don't have as much trouble dash dancing against Marth as you do against Falco or Fox.
Yes, absolutely. Because I know that's what the matchup kind of. Because I'm like, okay, I need to wait for Marth to throw something out, and then that's when my time is, or I want to get him shielding. Like that's what. I
know. It's really so. If you're thinking of the dash dance as a way to bait out your opponent to throw something out, you're like halfway there, but you have to realize why they are throwing out their move.
Because they think you're gonna go in.
They think you're gonna go in, right? Yeah. So, but if you, it's like these small mental differences in how you think about things. Your opponent will be able to feel it in your movement. Absolutely. So if you think I am trying to dash dance to get you to throw out a move, that won't work. You have to think I'm gonna hit you. Just kidding. That's the train of thought, and every dash dance needs to feel like that, and and so when you're playing against Fox or Falco, that mentality will help you remember to dash dance because you're not because like obviously you can't like whiff punish Fox or Falco nearly as well as Marth. So it's like if you're thinking I need to get them to throw out a move, it doesn't work mentally.
Wow.
Whereas if you're
Yeah.
thinking I'm gonna threaten them with my dash in, that works against every character because you want them to like flinch, and be scared of you.
Yeah. Damn, that's good. I never thought of that. That's facts. That's honestly facts. I like that.
I love it when something I say
Uh-huh.
clicks.
Yeah. That's good. No. That makes perfect sense. You see those, yeah, a lot
Yeah,
more
so
dash
your
dancing.
dash dancing pretty well against Marth. Like I can tell you know you just know the matchup better, and like you're really new, so like I
Yeah.
wouldn't worry too much about like stuff. It's more about like at the level you're at right now. It's more about like you kind of get like newbie gains,
Yeah.
for like
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
while, and
Uh-huh.
so like it's more about not stagnating stupidly. And you'll
Yeah.
just kind of naturally get way better for a while still.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's kind of like I think just like kind of just going off the stuff we mentioned in this lesson, like I would say like a lot of people they've been playing longer. I kind of focus on like how they need like specific implementation and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I think at the level you're at, like if you just sort of keep this stuff in mind and
Mhm.
keep playing, you should notice like a big improvement
Improvement.
out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Man, being 6 months into anything is so unfair, like in terms of
Yeah.
improvement.
Uh,
You're like, oh
it's
wait,
been.
wait, what if I back air an edge guard?
Uh-huh.
And then you just like, wait a minute, now I'm edge guarding twice as often? Like
Oh man.
I
I'm
wish I
telling
could
you.
get that big of an improvement.
I feel that. Well, I'm telling you that the games where I punish, the days where I'm punishing well, I always tell my chat, I'm like, man, it's like I'm playing the game on hard mode most of the time when I'm dropping combos and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta win neutral like twice as many times. It's like,
It's not fun when that
Yeah.
happens. Okay, yeah, but I would say like your ability to play this matchup is very like totally good. Like you're like way above where I would expect your level to be in this matchup so far. So
thank you.
just
Appreciate that.
just keep practicing on the other ones and like keep the stuff
Mhm.
I said in mind, and I think it'll come together.
For sure.
Because like the fact that you're already doing pretty well in this matchup, like that's a good
Mhm.
sign. This is like the matchup that like the dumb people struggle
Mhm.
with forever.
Yeah.
they're just like, it's been a decade. Why do I
Yeah.
lose to random Marth? And you're like, okay, Marth's the only one I kind of get. That's
Yeah.
a great sign
Thank
because
you. Okay.
it means
That's
you
good.
want to play the game the right way.
Uh-huh.
It means that your approach is to play correctly, but
Yeah.
the problem is that a lot of the other characters don't
Mhm.
let you play this kind of like
Yeah.
I kind of call it like brawl, like
Mhm, mhm.
because like that's kind of how the game feels at top level. Is it kind of has that brawl feeling of like you're
Yeah.
looking for like these little overcommitments and everybody's pretty
Mhm.
safe, and you kind of get that
Yeah.
already with Marth.
Uh-huh.
It's just Fox and Falco
Yeah.
are very different from that.
Yeah, it's like because Fox is like you. I don't. At least from my perspective, a good Fox player, or at least a Fox player that's better than I am. You're just thinking, I have no
Yeah,
idea what
no.
the hell
At the
this
at the
guy's
point
gonna
you're
do.
at in the matchup, it's straight up
Uh-huh.
impossible. I used to
Yeah.
just complain about that when I started Falco too. I was like, oh, I know
Yeah.
everything you're gonna do, and I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, we'll see about that, man. And then a few
Uh-huh.
months later, they're getting bodied. So.
Yeah. 'Cause I'm like, I don't know. Like this guy's a wild card. He could approach. He could full hop my approach. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
no.
what the hell's
When
gonna
you
happen.
get the feeling that the fox wants to hit you and they can't, it feels really good. It feels like some justice
Yeah.
from
I
all
like
the
that.
full hops they did.
I can't wait. I can't wait to get there.
Okay,
Can't
so
wait.
yeah, any final thoughts? We're about at an hour now. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think that makes sense. I just got to look into defending myself versus Fox, right?
Mhm.
Look into
Yeah, find like specific annoying situations that hit you,
Mhm.
and then like spend like a day thinking of the
Mhm.
solution to just that. Like, don't rush it. Just be
Yeah.
like, this one dumb thing is not hitting me again,
Uh-huh.
and then move on to another thing in the next day. This dumb thing's not hitting me again.
Yeah. Did you? I don't know if you were paying attention or not as much, but did it seem like my movement kind of like? Do you feel like I kind of need to have like sort of a practice regimen for that kind of thing, or did it seem like I was kind of moving
Nah,
okay?
you're
or-
fine. Like the thing is
Yeah.
like your issue is more that you don't know where you need to be.
Hmm.
So like you're not moving there, you know.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And if you're talking about like the cleanliness of your movement, it's
Hmm.
not really like super clean, but it's like
Yeah,
for 6 months in, it's plenty clean. Like you're
yeah,
fine.
yeah. Okay, for
It's
sure.
mostly
Cool.
like right now, it's just like learning the basic fundamentals of every matchup and
Yeah.
like I said, how to protect yourself. Always
Mhm.
make sure to be dash dancing after lasers and stuff like that. Like
Okay.
all like
Yeah.
this, it'll like you'll be fine later.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
A lot
Thanks,
of
man.
times people who solo practice too much at this point in the game, like there's a lot of slippy kids who are doing that. Like
Yeah.
they kind of practice, they over practice, and like
Hmm.
solo practice, it's very difficult to not get into like there's some people I'll watch and like they'll literally like do the same tech skill pattern multiple times because that's what they do in solo practice.
Uh-huh. I
And
feel
it's
like
like,
that's kind of what I fell into as well, a little bit with the
well,
approaches and
it's
stuff.
kind of what happens because the reason is that when top players are doing tech skill practice, they're shadowboxing against another character or another player, and
Okay.
they are imagining when they're doing tech skill that they are fighting in the actual game, and you're
Okay.
not far enough along for that. So it
Yeah. Yeah.
becomes
Yeah.
more of practicing like a dance routine, and it's
Yeah.
like you're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
going to be able to like improv in the middle of it or whatever because you're just
Yeah.
not there yet.
Comfortable enough with it. Yeah. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about it too hard for now.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
But
Cool.
okay,
Yeah.
I think that was a
All
good
right.
lesson. So
Yeah. Thanks, man.
hope you
I
have a good
appreciate
one.
it a lot. Yeah. You too, man. Peace
Peace.
out.